JG, this won't end well.
Here is a little bit different to what you normally find on YouTube, and that is I want to give you the kind of briefing that you would get if you're working in a fund or an investment bank, because that's what they do. Like I used to have 7 a.m. morning meetings, hated the bloody things because I hate getting up at 6. Who wants to get up at 6 o'clock? But what we'd have is like have these expert people who've traded the market for decades, and they'd share with us exactly what just happened and the best way to understand that. And part of that is the information, the research and the analysis of all the other investment banks that sort of gets cross-shared and cross-pollinated. Now, the problem with this is that it doesn't ever reach you, does it? Retail investors never get to hear about it. They just hear some sort of dumbed down version by mainstream media about a week later. And what I want to do here is make you the best informed investor out there. And secondly, encourage you to also become the best educated investor, because there's a difference between information and news and how to use it. But then secondly, we need to add skills to it. And then we also need to add the mindset to it. We're not going to achieve all of that here today, but at least we're going to work a lot on the first two in the next couple of minutes. So that's something that you think is going to be massively useful for you to understand what's driving the market today in the coming weeks. Then write useful in the chat. And I'm going to walk you through the following here, which is this. Wall Street has just flipped, right? Yesterday, we saw a massive uptick in a lot of the higher risk names, and there's a reason for that. And I'm going to explain to you exactly what that reason is, because that's important. And then secondly, everyone's asking, and everyone wants to know, is it time to buy the bounce on stocks like Nvidia and Palantir and Tesla and all the big tech stocks? And I'm going to give you the answer to that as well. And then I also want to explain to you why Wall Street just said, one of the biggest banks out there just said that the real risk is to the upside. But, and there's always a but, isn't there? There is a warning from same investment banks that literally no one in retail is aware of. Like if you ask 1 million people today on the street, no one is going to know that information. You will by the end of it, and I hope you're going to spread it, because that's how we make other people smarter. And then 2 more items, which is the most important chart of the day, and that's the real like bottom line here. I want you to make sure you've got that ingrained. Take a screenshot when we get to it, and then also what stocks to be actually buy now. Okay, so let's talk that through. And should we get cracking? I think so, right? So this is JP Morgan, and they basically just came out with, well, we think the worst is probably behind us. Now, I have a probably there for an illegal disclaimer, but let me explain to you why. So their analysis rests on this, and this is a screenshot that I've taken from a software that we build, which is called TradeVision, for which you can get a free trial. And again, I built that because when I was working inside of a bank, and I was really lucky to land there, like I had no idea before, like no idea when to buy or sell or what to buy or sell, but I got this job. And one of the things that I did was collate all this data, and my boss was the guy in charge of finding trades, like every day, every single day. So I was his mini-me, and then I therefore have to prepare the data and find the ideas and then show them to him. And we had this amazing data, and it costs like $100,000 a year. So I appreciate that's unreasonable for most people to pay. So we therefore built TradeVision. And again, there's a link down below to a free trial there. And it just helps you find better trades. It helps you find better exit points. It helps you.
Dude, we've listened to him talk about TradeVision for like 64 seconds now. Get to the point.
Track your portfolio. It gives you an insight into the you're using it, or you're already you're about to sign up. So what are we looking at here? Well, there's a little thing down here, that squiggly line, that's called RSI. It's basically an indicator. When it's really high, Wall Street says we're overbought, and when it's really low, Wall Street says we're oversold. Does that make some sense to you? Again, if that makes
okay, I want to jump in here real quick, because there was a point in time where I tried to trade the RSI indicator, and let's break this down. Relative strength index. Okay, so it's in this lower box down here. Now I'll move my big old fat head out of the way so you can see. Yeah, I also was having a hard time hearing him. I wish that he had better sound. So that's what I was saying more. He always has something to sell. I know he's a great investor, but he comes off a little pushy. Yeah. Listen, some of his stuff is really good. The last one we did wasn't. I'm hoping this one gets better. But let's talk about RSI. So RSI is this indicator down here. Now, here's something I need you to understand. If it goes over 70 and it goes into the overbought territory, quote, overbought territory, that does not mean start shorting. Under no circumstances does this mean start shorting. This is the relative strength to itself. So if the relative strength is really high, that means this thing is printing money. And the last thing you want to do is start shorting it as it's printing money. Now, I'll give you a great example of this. There was a few years ago. Let me see if I can find it. It was on the SPY. And I thought I was a genius. And so this is why I can relate to this. I thought I was a genius, and I started shorting the SPY. This was in the teens, somewhere in the teens. Probably like 17, if I had to guess. There. What do you know? 17. I thought I was an absolute freaking genius because I started shorting the SPY, as you would expect from listening to my history, shorting the SPY by selling calls at this point. Now, listen, even though we've detoured from Felix's video, this is why I do this, because it prompts conversation, by the way. It allows us to now have a teaching moment around something that can benefit you. This is not just about watching video and criticizing other videos. Do you realize that had Felix not brought up RSI, I wouldn't be able to tell you about how risky it is to start shorting a stock as it is printing money. So I like this. That's why I like this content, because then I can use that as jumping off points. So back to this. As you can see, the RSI got super high. We're talking 80, 85. Where was the peak at? 87. Freaking so high. And so me being the genius that I was at the time, I was like, let's sell some calls, right? Let's say I started selling calls here when it crossed over at 270. Well, as you can imagine, as the market went up day after 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 day, 5% on the SPY in the span of 16 days, my account is evaporating. Like every time I log into my account, less money. And I'm like, God, you can't be serious. I thought it was overbought. I thought it had to come down. Don't ever look at RSI being elevated and think, oh, it has to come back down. Did it come back down later? Yes, it absolutely did. But by that point, my trade was a giant loser. And of course, I didn't have a trading plan, so I didn't know where to get out. And of course, as it went down, I'm on the other side of it with puts that have already expired so deep in the money, because I had sold the calls that are so deep in the money, even though I had sold them out of the money, thinking I was a genius and collecting that premium, right? Which is why I tell you, do not ever sell options. There is no reason to sell options. If this trade had worked out for me, I might have made, we'll use round numbers here, I might have made $100. But in the process, I think I lost, in this case here, $1,300. So I lost 13 times as much as I could possibly make on the trade. The absolute maximum that I could possibly make in the trade, I lost 13 times that much. Now I need 13 perfect trades in a row to get back to break even. So with Felix's introduction here, we've used this to talk about how you shouldn't short a market just because the RSI is high. Just because the RSI is high, that actually means the market is strong AF. Second, that we use this as a jumping off point to talk about how you shouldn't sell calls. Okay, we've covered quite a lot. We've covered quite a lot here, and that's why I like to do these. I think this is fun. It gives me an opportunity to teach you in real time. So back to this here. If you are going to use RSI as a jumping off point to say it's overbought or oversold, the time to get in would be down here. I wonder if I can do a green light on this. There we go. It would be here when it gets really high and then starts coming back down. Now, coincidentally, that would have been a fantastic shorting opportunity. I would have made all $100 right there. Yeah, because I didn't know how to buy puts at that point. Yeah. And then the same would be true if you're looking on a bottom. Right, so finding the tops, finding the bottoms is going to be next to impossible. Here's a great example. So this candle right here, October 11th, 2018, you would say, oh man, it's so oversold. I should start buying stock. Or it's so oversold. I should start selling puts. And the next thing you know, it bounces up and you're like, oh, I'm a genius. And then, oh, wait a minute. Oh, wait. Oh, geez. Oh, no. It got even worse. It went down even further. It went down another 4.5% or 4% or so to that low right there. So using RSI alone, in my opinion, is a really, really tough play. Really tough play. This is the end of 2018. You can see when it comes back up, that could be a green light signal for you right there. That could be a green light signal. And it turned out to be great. But then again, you could look at stocks like AMD now, which they're going down and down and down and down and down. And where really is oversold on this point? Where is oversold? Was it down here when it was at 26 on the RSI, but it was at $121? Because right now, I would tell you, if I was thinking that oversold was the problem, and then I was ready to get back in, boy, was I wrong, as it's gone down another $20 a share. So yeah, I'm not a huge RSI fan, mainly because it cost me some money. Let's continue on.
Makes some sense to you, right? Just write a 1 in the chat, and I can see that it makes some sense to you here on the RSI. So where are we right now? Well, we're down here, right? Have we ever been that low? Well, not in the last year or so. We were almost that low here in sort of September 2024. In August last year, we were almost that low, but not quite. And that has generally been, if you draw some little lines up, that has generally been, and somebody taught me yesterday how to draw straight lines on this, by the way. Thank you very much for that. You're a kind human being. And my lines are not exactly straight, but you get the idea. Those were, generally speaking, bottoms of the market. There's also that one here, which will bring us up to that there. So it's a pretty decent indicator, right? Pretty decent indicator of bottoms. And that's basically why JP Morgan, probably the most powerful bank in the world, is saying, we think we're nearly at the bottom of this. And maybe you don't believe me, but there's actually a screenshot of what they're saying.
Okay. And then if we print this for today, are we in oversold territory? Yes. Does that mean this is the bottom? There's no way to know that. But comparing to AMD, remember, it can hit this oversold level and then get even lower. It can hit this oversold level and then still go down 17%. I mean, it's brutal out there. Absolutely brutal. Now we do have this order block right here. We're looking past the order block at the moment. So yeah, this is looking awful.
The distribution of the full report is restricted. Whoops. I guess I shouldn't have taken that screenshot and shared it with you. Well, never mind. What are they going to do about it? He says in handcuffs 3 days later. They're saying we're getting close to some of the worst we've seen in the past 2 years in both North American and emerging markets, and that the best case scenario might now be a steady recovery in markets. Steady recovery. So nothing like massive or super, super quick, but steady. Steady is pretty good. I think at this point we'd all take steady, right? Are you happy with steady right now? I think you probably are. So what's the thing that everybody wants to know about? Is it now time to buy the Nvidias and the Palantirs? Should we be loading up the boat? Well, let me give you...
Is there a rally in Nvidia and Palantir? Am I missing something here? Okay, sure. Remove all annotations on Nvidia. You know what? It does have a cross over that 10 EMA right there. It might be an opportunity to start taking a little bit of risk. It's up to you. But the overall trend is still down. It's much easier to trade when the overall trend is going the same direction that you are. Rather than trying to bottom fish, it's way easier to do the opposite. And if we look at Palantir, I think we looked at Palantir a minute ago. Yeah, it's down 5% today. There's no way I touch that. No way.
You an answer to that, because there is Nvidia, for example. It's an example. I'll run you through one example, and I'll tell you how you can answer the question yourself and everything else. Because again, what's more useful to you? I give you a fish, right? Or I give you the rod and how to use it. If I give you 10 fish today, well, 9 of them will go off and get very smelly. Whereas if I give you the rod and how to use it, you will have that knowledge forever. You can teach it to your children. You could literally be the one person in your family that breaks this evil history of having to go to work for generations. What's that all about, right? Like, I look at it now, and what I know now, I'm like, what were they all doing? My lovely ancestors. What were they all doing? Well, they clearly didn't have the knowledge that I was very lucky to stumble upon, because otherwise they wouldn't have a job, right? I've been very happily, joyously unemployed for the last 13 years or so, 15 years, maybe longer. And I do actually have some businesses, but they don't employ me, I employ others, which is a different story. All right, so let's look at Nvidia. That's what you care about, right? So nice big bounce there yesterday. That yellow line there, by the way, is the 50-day moving average line, moving average. When we're above that, it's generally a good thing. We're below that, it's generally a little bit of a frightening thing. So what do you see with a chart like that? Well, zoom out a little bit more. And I've also added, it's a little chart down here. You get a blue pen. This thing is called the Mansfield RSI. It's kind of out of fashion. It's been around since the 70s when people were drawing charts by hand. Seriously, what traders did. They would look up the newspaper, what the stock price was yesterday, and then they draw their own charts. They look at the highs, the lows, and they'd color it in. Fun times, I'm sure. I'm not quite that old, if that's what you were thinking. But what are we seeing here? That Mansfield RSI is starting to move up again. And to me, that is one of the rules I look at, one of the criteria of, is this something that's moving in the right direction? So this, for me, is a check mark. But we're below the 50-year moving average line. For me, that's a fail. And I'm also not seeing enough volume, which for me is also a fail. So I've essentially got 1 out of 3 right. So I'm going to wait for the other 2 to be right. And that's when I'm going to buy stocks like Nvidia.
This I like. I like this a lot. He's talking about the moving averages. He's got other indicators, and that's fine. You do you. But what he's saying is he needs to see a confluence of indicators, right? A confluence of indicators is what I'm looking for all the time. That's what I mean when I talk about the master key, right? When I see the master key, I'm looking for the SPY to have a buy signal. I'm looking for the trend of the price to be going up. And I'm also looking for the market breadth to be going up. That's a confluence of indicators. That's more support building in your direction. Now, you'll notice what I say here goes a lot with this adage right here. Now, I didn't come up with this. This is from Steve Cohen, co-owner of the Mets and one of the market wizards. 40% of the stocks move is due to the market. 30% is due to the sector. Oh, over there, the sector. So you got 40% on the market, 30% on the sector. And then the last 30% is the stock itself. So how is the one stock in particular looking? All of this is built to add confidence to a trade, but it doesn't mean that it's going to work out. Of course not. But it at least sets you in the right direction. At least sets you in the right direction. Bye, Ozzy, and have a good day, my friend.
Yeah, or Palantir or others at these levels. And if you want to actually understand that, like really understand that at a deep level, where you could teach it to other people and help other people get financially free, then I'll give you the very rules, full explanation. Now, I'm not going to do that here because it'll add 15 minutes to this video.
Of course, you wouldn't do that here. Daggum. There was a point in time where I actually got a lot of good, information out of these Felix videos, but I swear half of these videos he's just talking about his master classes and stuff.
The real risk, and I put this at the top, is potentially a massive rally. So what's this based on? And again, I asked somebody yesterday whether I should show this to the world, and they said, "Are you mad? No one's going to watch your channel if you show them charts like this." As he's a friend, he has anyway, I mentioned the name, but he has a YouTube channel, and he's probably right. But I think you can handle it. I think you're a smart team if you're still here after all these charts and all this data. And I think you actually want to understand what institutions look at, because they're the guys with most of the money. So we need to understand that side of things. Now, this is what we expect options dealers and the leverage ETFs to do. So options dealers are the guys who basically run the market makers. Leverage ETFs are ETFs, so exchange traded funds that are leveraged. So they're kind of crazily risky things. And what we're looking at is if the market goes up 3%, or say 5%, or even 10%, can you see how much the market would go up by? Like 7%, or rather the billions that they're going to buy would increase here by, sorry, it's not percent, it's billions. So this is 7 billion. If it goes up by 5%, they will buy about 13 billion. And if it goes up by 10%, they're going to buy 31 billion. So why does that matter? Because understanding where the money flows is very, very useful. So what if the market goes down? Well, if it goes down 3%, they're selling only, say, 5 billion. If it goes down 5%, they're selling 7 billion. If it goes down 10%, they're selling 10 billion. So a lot of what the market is about, and a lot of what the pros look at, is they look at what's bigger. Where is there the greater movement likely to be? Up will be a lot bigger because it's 31 billion up, only 10 billion down for the same movement. So essentially what this is showing you, that hedge funds and options dealers and so on, they've already sold. They've sold the most they've sold in years, in many, many years. It's quicker than ever. And therefore, they haven't got that much left to sell. And that's a good thing, because if we do go up, they're going to buy a heck of a lot. They're going to catch up.
Okay. So he's saying that, let's look at a couple of examples. Apple. Oh my gosh. That's brutal. This is a $208 stock today. A couple weeks ago, this was a $240 stock. A couple weeks before that, this was a $260 stock. In my opinion, there is no bottom of this. There's nobody left to sell until we see prices start to reverse, right? Because it's not you and me, retail, that are causing these moves. It's these big players that he's talking about here. Let's go to another one. Let's look at this one in Outliers. Nvidia, yeah. There's Nvidia. Right, Nvidia is going down. We can see that. We can see that on the chart here. We can see that in the fear and greed index, right? We can see the the fear on this is at 18. That's extreme fear right there. 18 is extreme fear. But that doesn't mean now's the time to get in. In fact, if you look at this cartoon, right, this is when we see the most screaming. But that doesn't mean it's the bottom. Because just like Tesla, right, we could see a ton of screaming right here. And then it still goes down. How much? This big red candle here. It still goes down. How much? Another 22%? So in my opinion, we can't tell the market where it's going to bottom. We can't tell the market where it's going to bottom. Apple will reverse. It always does. And it may. I'm not saying it won't. I don't have Apple saved over here. Hang on. But it may reverse. It may reverse down here. It may reverse at 160. And you want to see the market cycle. You want to see a market cycle. This looks eerily familiar to this. Right? You've got your stage 1-ish over here. But then you got a real nice stage 2. A really prolonged stage 3. And now this looks like a stage 4 to me. And we don't know how far this goes in the stage 4. And that's why I say this is the wrong channel to look for predictions. We can only trade the trend that we see in front of us. In fact, one of my mentors, Minervini, he says, I'm not in the business. Wait. Those who ask me where the market will be in a year, or what level the S&P 500 will bottom, totally misunderstand what it takes to be a great trader. I'm not in the business of responding. I can't read. I can't read today. I am in the business of responding. Not prediction. Telling the future is impossible and unnecessary. Trading is a now business. And the now business in Apple is that it's going down. The now business in Apple is that it's going down the slope of hope, which is where the monkey hammer lives. And because of that, because of this, it doesn't matter what sort of fundamental you could ever come up with. Because we'll stop Felix's video here. But it doesn't matter what sort of fundamental you could come up with. You could say that Apple has the greatest product line ever. They're going to release a new product, and it's only going to go up from here. But the problem is that the price is going down. If the price is going down, that's the only way that you're going to get paid. Only way you're going to get paid is if price is going up. So we'll end Felix's video here, but let me introduce myself real quick. I know I'm just a random guy on the internet with a lot to say, but my name is Christopher Uhl. I've twice been awarded top 100 people in finance. I was mentored by 5 of the market wizards, the best traders of all time. I've been successfully trading since 2009, and this is where outliers like us save time, make money, and start winning with less risk together as a team. Now, I don't know. I don't feel like ranking this one. When I come to these videos where I don't get a whole lot out of it, good or bad, I don't like to rank them. So you can rank it if you want to. I'm going to skip the rankings, but I do want you to subscribe. I mean, my takeaway on here is buy Trade Vision, go to my masterclass, and that just frustrates me. There have been some really good Felix videos, but this is not one of them. And hear me out. Of course, I think it'd be great if you bought Outlier, but you don't have to. I will give you more in every single live stream that you come to for free. And you don't have to pay anything to me. My only ask is that you tell other people about it. There are 321 of you watching live right now. 321 of you could each go out and tell people. Each of you go out and tell 2 people about today's member highlight. Okay. I want to go in the share your big wins section of our Discord. I don't know if you can see this. Let me get a little bit bigger. Daravan says, first week of trading with outliers, so far following the 10, 20, 50 outlier trend template that we talk about all the time. And it's already working out. I have my stop losses in place and my half ATR marked on his charts. And looks like dude's making money. And that's so cool. Screech with a 40% win in his short. Screech is here live, by the way. 40% win on shorts on Delta Airlines and Starbucks. Outliers already paid for itself. Let's see, this post from Bender. Actually, let me go to this. One thing we really like to do is share some of these posts on my YouTube channel. So this post from Bender, who I think is here live as well. Hey, good day, everyone. I want to share my big win. My big win is that since I joined all you excellent folks and started learning from Chris, I am now 100% in cash right now. Not putting any risk into this crazy market, not losing my house, not losing my wife, and best of all, not losing his truck. But sitting in cash is a trade. And only price pays. Waiting for the market to tell me when it's going his way. Right? This is the kind of stuff that I love to share. I love to share this because I want to share these transformational stories. People who have come from other channels. Maybe you've come from Invest with Corey, like we saw someone talking about that earlier. Maybe you've come from Jeremy. Maybe you've come from Felix. Wherever the case is, YouTube has finally started to put me in your feed. And because of that, we are changing lives. We are changing lives every single day. And I don't take that lightly. This is what I was put on earth to do. Okay? I'm just excited I get to do this with you. Does Outlier have dark mode? Daggum, yeah, it does. Daggum, yeah. You go over here to settings, I believe, and you hit the dark mode. And then you're like Batman. You were born in the dark. Then you put it back to light view because I don't like it in the dark. Bender, he's still got his truck. Let's go. He is here. Very, very cool. And Daravan shared with 2 people today. Thank you for doing that, right? Because the first rule of Outlier is you tell everybody about Outlier, right? And you share your stories in the Discord. Tell everybody you know about Outlier. Now, real quick, what is Outlier and how does it work? Well, Uncle Warren used to say, be fearful when others are greedy and greedy when others are fearful. Outlier shows you if investors are acting irrationally fearful or greedy and by how much, allowing you to get into the stock before the Outlier move happens. Now, you can save time, make money, and start winning with less risk over Outlier.com. You can get the annual pass for just 82 cents a day, which is 64% off the regular monthly price. And if you're in your trial and you want to upgrade, just shoot us an email and we'll take care of it from there. Now, my style of trading using Outlier, I call the golden ticket trading strategy. It's where only price pays. We want to look at the market, the 10, under the 20, price under the 50 in this case here. Now, I know the market just closed or is about to close, and that's okay. That's okay. We're still going to go through the strategy here. Let me remove all my notes on the SPY real quick. Had some from earlier. I mean, yeah, the market is absolutely on a rip roar and trend down. 10 under 20, price under 50. Your Outlier 10 trim template is very, very bearish. Next, market breadth. This I was actually quite surprised by because I believe it was 2 days ago. We had a bearish crossover on market breadth, which I thought might be some short coverings. And you can go back to the receipts. I said, I think we got a little short-term bounce right here. And we did. It wasn't long-lived, but we did. When we zoom in, way, way, way in. These are the new charts, by the way. These are great. You can see it actually crossed over and then back under. So we now have a bearish cross. Look at that. Look at how cool this is. You can zoom right up in there now on these new charts. So the bull list percent, this is the number of stocks we have with buy signals, okay? Now, adding the 10 EMA shows us where these crosses happen. You can see it went down and it peaked over for a moment, and now it's back below. So it's still bearish. I shouldn't say still. It is now, once again, after 2 days, once again, bearish market breadth. So that's cool. What does that mean? That means the master key's unlocked. We have a SPY sell signal, a bearish market trend, and bearish market breadth. So the next step for me is to run the screener. Now, we do have a couple new settings in Outlier. We recently upgraded the fear and greed map to go from 0 to 50 on fear and 0 to 50 on greed to now it's just a scale of 1 to 100. Makes it a lot easier. So I made a couple changes on here, but let's go through it real quick. I look at all sectors, all industries. Outlier signal return, I only want to be positive. What do I mean by that? We could look at, in fact, let's go to the watch list here, and I'll show you what I mean by that. I go to a bear list, and I look at like this one right here. I looked at this earlier, so I know it's true. The Outlier signals will tell you with an instant back test. Right up here, you go to performance summary, and it'll tell you how the Outlier signals performed. On this one here, it didn't work out that great. It was 49%, whereas buy and hold was at 12. Negative 49% where buy and hold is 12. And that's why you go over here to positive only, and then you can filter for the signals that have shown to work. 47%, 67%, 4, 119%, 16, 57, 31, 950, 44. You get the gist. So you're filtering for only positive returns. Next, 30-day average volume. I like to be over 1 million shares with a sell signal. So I'm not buying something with the sell signal. And then I do like to have 5 days, 0 to 5%. Let me apply that filter. Meaning getting in before the outlier move happens. Next, I look at all market caps. I look at the price range over $20. I look at the fear and greed heat map. In this case, this is new. Like I say, it went from 0 to 50 on fear, 0 to 50 on greed. And now it's basically, if it's short, I'm looking for anything that's less, or I should say 10 or greater. 10 or greater. Moving down on the heat map. So it's getting more fearful. That's what it means by moving down. And then the downtrend indicator, these backgrounds over here, that would be a downtrend, that would be an uptrend, this would be sideways. So these are my setups on the screener here. Now, CHRW actually passed. And I was like, wait a minute, CHRW, what is this stock? So I went and took a look at it. I went and took a look at CHRW, and I was like, all right, let's take a look. Let's zoom in. We can see we got the sell signal today. We can see the fear and greed heat map right here. We're at 42.72. And we can see the industrials is getting more fearful. So all this looks sharp. But then when I went to the chart, CHRW, when I went to the chart, didn't work out so great because it's inside this soon to be called outlier block. So this is one I would not take because of this outlier block. And here's the deal. I have no FOMO whatsoever, because this is how I trade. At some point, there will be setups. And at some point, I will go hard and deep into those setups. Probably shouldn't have said it that way. But I will go into setups with big size because I'm okay with that. I know the risks that I'm taking. I know where I'm going to get out. So for me, there weren't any setups today, but that's okay. I want to hear what you're looking at today. I want to look at what you're looking at. Ask Krill B. And now I know Carlos Santana. I know it's not Carlos. I can't remember Mr. Santana's first name. I wanted to look at SCHD. I think it was SCHD. Let's look at your stocks. Let's see what we can find. Oh, please put in the name of your stock and long, or the name of your stock and short. That makes it a lot easier. I know it wasn't Carlos Santana, but I don't remember your first name, my friend. I'm scrolling up to see. It was, who was it? Alex Santana. There we are. Alex Santana. I remembered you, my friend. If you wouldn't mind remembering me and telling everybody you know about it. Okay. So we're looking at SCHD. Has a sell signal out there still. And the fear and greed heat map went from about 66. And moving down the way, it's currently at 50. So it's about to tick into fear. The constituent map of SCHD. What is in SCHD? You can actually click this little button up here and I'll tell you. The Schwab US Dividend Equity ETF. And it tells you all kinds of what's inside. It's a long, oh my gosh. Who reads all that? Ain't nobody got time for that. But so yeah, all the constituents that make up SCHD are also getting a bit more fearful here. Now, a couple things that's also handy is that on ETFs, you don't have all the details over here, but like you could look at Nvidia over here. You can actually see analyst ratings. That might be something you're interested in. You can see the analyst ratings right there. But I was actually going to pop over and look at that, but I don't see it here. Any news on SCHD? We've got some negative news, some neutral news, some positive news here. So nothing really. Oh, you could actually click it and go right over to it. 3 Schwab ETFs to buy with the VIX on the rise. SCHD could be the one. But in this case, this would have a sell signal for me. So thank you, Mr. Santana. Alex, tell everybody you know. Roland says, thank you, Chris, for your detailed explanations. Very much appreciated. You're welcome. This is what I do. I love this. I love this so much. BBAI. I know a lot of people have been asking about that. BBAI. Oh, we don't cover BBAI. Let me double check that. Typed it in right. BBAI. Not yet. So we do cover 2,500 stocks, and the ones that we don't cover, we don't have enough data to pull in for them just yet. But I know Mahesh has a plan where we will be pulling in more stocks. And even if we don't have all the data we need, we'll basically be able to populate this entire thing with the exception of the fear and greed map. So look for that soon. I don't know when, but soon. Okay, if we look at BBAI. Oh, man. Oh, hey, here's a red light, green light situation. So let's go back to the red light, green light. Close over the 10, consider that a green light. As I click the red one, hang on. You go over here. Close under the 10, over the 10, I should say. Consider that a green light. It doesn't mean it's going to work out, but it's at least above the short-term trend. And you can see right here, that was the first time I closed over. It did not close under again until this candle. That would have been your exit signal right there. That would be your green or your red light. Only a 90% gain. Here's the other thing. Here's the other thing. It could have absolutely been worse than a round trip in this case on BBAI. So, who said BBAI? Ryan. Apologize. I don't remember if this was long or short. Ryan says long. I wish that I could tell you better news right here, my friend, but that was the exit signal to get out a while ago. And you can see why we're calling it red light, green light, right? It makes it a lot easier. Bluefin Trader, that's Jean-Louis. He's been shorting everything lately. Jean-Louis knows what I'm going to say. He just wants me to reinforce it. Jean-Louis knows what I'm going to say. Let's just look at it together. Sell signal here. We can see the heat map going from roughly 77 at that time. And now it's pushing 50.94, getting a lot more fearful. The real estate sector is not honestly all that fearful, interestingly enough. But if we take a look over here on here, that's what I want to see. We took a look over here at PLD or Jean-Louis. Ooh, look at that. That's beautiful. You got your 10, 20, 50 crossed right there. And where's your red light? You could have had a red light right there. Give you a little warning sign before everything went sideways. Of course, another green light right there. But then where's the next red light? Here. If the red light, green light thing works for you, if this is making sense to you, type in a RG in the chat. If the red light, green light is making sense to you, put it in the chat because it would have saved you buttloads of money on PLD. I mean, it's just math. And that's why I have no problem ever sharing that for you. But yeah, PLD for a short is whew. That is beautiful right there, Jean-Louis. Jean-Louis is making money hand over fist lately on shorts. The kleptomaniac wants to look at KTOS long. KTOS. All right, buy signal coming through just a moment ago. Let's zoom in. You can see here, it got so greedy, up at 89 out of 100. Sell signal came through. And always remember, the further greedy it gets, the more likely it is to snap back like a rubber band. Sell signal came through up here. Came way down. Buy signal came here at 18. Well, not at 18, but peaked at 18. Peak fear at 18. And it's now coming back up. We got a buy signal 2462 on the heat map, where the industrials is still getting more fearful. This one is getting a little bit less fearful. And if we look at KTOS over here, KTOS, hey, your 10, 20, 50 just crossed today. So you've got a confluence of signals right there, my friend. Right? You've got your 10, 20, 50 today. You've got your buy signal. You've got the fear evaporating, starting to move towards greed. But, you know, your sector is working against you and the market's working against you. So if this is overperforming right now, that's really good. Got lots of RGs in here. Awesome. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad that this is making sense. Thank you, guys. Dustin, do you ever short a stock when you see a stock bouncing off an order block? You totally could. Totally could, right? Here's a great example on KTOS, right? Order block created on January 21st, came down, came back in, came down, came back in. And then that would have been a great short entry here. But this would be counter trend trading. This would be counter trend trading. And that's not something I would do. It's just not. But it may work great for you. It may work great for you. Even more RGs are come through now. Thank you, guys. Okay, let's see. Why do order blocks change if you change the view period? If we bounce over from the daily to the 5-minute, you're going to see different order blocks, right? It's measured on these swings right here. And these swings can prove to be really, really useful. But these are large orders that are causing these swings. And anytime it comes back in these areas, it can really impact how it goes, right? So this right here, down, back into it, bounced right back up. Came right close to it, bounced right back up. Yeah, order blocks are so cool. So cool. Let's look SMCI. SMCI long from Richard. Good to see you, Richard. So SMCI, another one of those stocks that absolutely round tripped. And it just got absolutely monkey hammered to death once it came up to this order block that was created in August. The first time it came up into this order block, monkey hammered back down. Tell me order blocks don't work. So let's remove this annotation here. So SMCI, you've got really a sideways trend. You got your 10 is under the 20. Actually, no, you got a bearish trend right now. Your 10 under the 20, price under the 50. It just is under the 50 right there. So SMCI long doesn't look like a beautiful stock to me. Let's see who else is here still. Who else is here still? Stephen Black is here. Spreading the gospel, my friend. QBTS. Tell your dad I say hi. Oh, no, I don't cover QBTS. That's okay. Let's go over here. QBTS. All right. So, Steven, you just ran right into an order block right here with earnings. But it looks like this was an 18% move. I don't know if earnings came before or after. It might have come this morning. Beautiful move right here. But this order block could present some issues. And again, bounced right out of a couple order blocks or a couple bounces right out of this order block right there. So watch out for that, Stephen. Of course, when the market is being difficult, it makes other things difficult too. Rick wants to look at gold. Rick wants to look at EQX. EQX. All right. So if we look at EQX, we do have a buy signal. We can see here the sell signal came right when the fear and greed was getting really high over at 88. Came way down, almost in the fearful area, and it's come right back up. Got a buy signal today. We've got the materials sector getting more fearful. Let's look over at EQX. 10, 20, 50. That's all pointing north. This has some legs, dude. This has legs to it. And then you're not far off that 10 EMA. So this could be a great trailing stop for you right there. So imagine this being your green light. You've got some legs. You've got some legs. So I like it. I like it actually. Mikey Mike wants to look at the bullish screener settings real quick. Let's do it. Let's do it for you, Mikey Mike. All right, so the bullish screeners, I haven't renamed them real quick, but this is my bullish new. It's exactly the same as my old one. The only difference is the slider over here. Instead of it going from the fear and greed 50/50s, it's now from 0 to 90. Basically, I want to be in anything that's not ultra greedy, right? Anything that's not pushing like 90 plus over here. I'm interested. So take a screenshot of that. Take a screenshot of that, my friend. And then for everybody else, listen, if you're an influencer of any size and any niche, we want to work with you. We think that we have an opportunity to make you some money, and I want to work with you. I'll personally be emailing you back. So tell me what you're trading in the chat, and be sure to come back for tomorrow morning's live stream where outliers like us will save time, make money, and start winning with less risk together as a team. YouTube is going to pop up a couple recommended videos. I recommend you click one of those, and I also recommend you come to tomorrow's live stream. We'll talk soon.